Hola gente linda, ¿cómo están? Y aquí en mierda vamos a ver hoy otra muy buena traducción de parte del canal de DongHuaP. No se olviden de seguirlo, ponerle me gusta al loco, porque él es en parte responsable de compartir estos pics bizarros. Yo lo único que hago es informarte.
No me hago responsable si la gente juega estas cosas en Ranked, simplemente estoy acá para mostrarte cómo son las cosas.
Mójate con agua y aplica suficiente jabón. Frota las palmas de las manos entre sí. Ahora tienes unas manos seguras.
De paso, por las dudas, si solamente querés ver el video subtitulado, te lo voy a dejar en un link privado y personalizado fuera de este video. Si tenés ganas de consumir mi contenido sin que yo esté en el contenido, no hay problema. Yo trato de satisfacer a todo el mundo. Te lo voy a dejar a la descripción de este video. Y te recuerdo que no te olvides de seguirme en Twitter y en Instagram, porque cuando lleguemos a 10.000 seguidores en Twitter y a 50.000 seguidores en Instagram, vamos a hacer un sorteo de la concha a la madre, 50.000 puntos de RP, no avalado por Riot, sino por la misma gente que banca este canal, que no es poca realmente. Así que ya prepárense los jetes, y es para todo el mundo el sorteo de RP. Vamos directamente a lo que nos compete y a lo que nos interesa, y vamos a ver este videardo, bro. Gracias Chome, gracias Pepi, gracias por traducirlo, y vamos a verlo. Sí, como lo viste en el título, sí, estamos hablando de un Rammus Top, y no me hago responsable si un pelotudo juega esto, en vez de en una ranked, en una normal, lo prueba, viste, pero después lo lleva a ranked. No me hago responsable, esto es meramente informativo. Vamos a ver qué onda.
He is one of the simplest yet most unique champions in the game. His entire kit is basically Thornmail on steroids. Rammus is the personification of the meme, stop hitting yourself. While Rammus has never really been that popular, in terms of his viability in the meta, Rammus has always served as a niche counterpick into mostly AD team comps. For the most part, most Rammus players stick him in the jungle. And while Rammus is
lo normal es que vaya a la jungla, sí.
Compositions, other junglers such as Sejuani and Zac can do his job in a more consistent way. They tend to have faster clear speeds and they tend to have better CC. But while most Rammus players have been focusing him in the jungle, there is one Rammus player that has found a lot of success with him in the top lane. He's been playing Rammus top for over a decade now, and he is the #1 Rammus in
soleándose una veina, amigo.
This is how to play like a challenger. This is Gimbyeontan. He's been playing Rammus top since Season 3, and he fluctuates in and out of Korean Grandmasters.
O sea, desde Season 3 sale y entra de Grandmaster y Maestro en Corea, amigo, y tiene 1139 partidas jugadas en 52% de tasa de victoria. Déjate hinchar, weón.
Makes Rammus top an appealing champion to play. As a solo laner, Rammus rates pretty poorly. He doesn't have great sustain, he doesn't have good range, it's hard to maneuver his powerball between minion waves, and he gets bullied out by some of the most popular top laners such as Mordekaiser and Rumble. So despite these weaknesses, what makes Gimbyeon successful at Rammus? In general, unless the opponent decides to constantly trade into you while your W is up, it's very difficult to get a lead on Rammus.
Claro.
Only in matchups where people are constantly auto-attacking you will you actually be able to win these kinds of matchups. For the most part, Gimbyeon loses almost every single one of his trades in the early game. The only way that you can trade evenly or even get a kill is if you taunt people under your tower.
Me hace acordar un poco a Skarner Toco la R.
1.5 seconds. And this is enough time for roughly 2 tower shots to be able to hit on the opponent. If you get 1 tower shot on your opponent, usually you'll go even in the trade.
Claro,
If
o
you get
ganarlo.
2, you obviously win the trade. If you get more than that, you can potentially kill them by powerballing under your tower and killing them with another tower shot. So why play such a weak early game champion? Rammus is fairly deceptive in terms of how strong he is in the early game. While his level 1 to 5 is pretty poor compared to most top laners, his level 6 is extremely strong.
Es la calma con la que
It's not
juega.
due to the fact that his ultimate is that much better than everybody else's. It is simply due to the fact that around level 6, you're going to be buying your first real item, which is Brambles Vest.
Claro, eso es de lo más importante cuando sacas beta de espina, digamos, para hacer después, obviamente, cota de espinas. Es de lo más fruta porque potencia el personaje 10.000 veces más.
Brambles Vest Rammus is a disgustingly good first item. In fact, it is so strong that it is comparable to your first item buy on a regular champion. At level 6 with Brambles Vest and just 2 points into your W,
Mira
Rammus
eso.
has a nice 69%.
69, papu. 69% de reducción de daño físico.
Damage reduction on physical attacks. Usually, most tank champions have to be level 12 in order to be this tanky. Rammus can do it with just 1 partial item. Now at this point in the game, Rammus is not going to lose 1v1s against champions that are auto attack based. But that is not why Rammus top is strong. In order to fully abuse Rammus, you have to have the help of your jungler. In the late game, tanks generally just ignore tower shots because they have so much armor. At level 6, Rammus's tower shots deal about the same amount of damage that a regular champion does to another regular champion with his auto attacks.
Okay.
So you get your jungler to dive the enemy laner again and again and again and again and again. And at some point, you're going to be so tanky and strong that you're going to be playing Proxy Rammus. This is the most common way that Gimbyong gets a lead.
Nah, amigo, en serio, Proxy Rammus. Nah. No me hago responsable, culiado,
Games. Rammus does not have enough commitment tools to be able to kill enemies on his own usually. They have to either mess up or engage on him. For most players, when they see that they're not able to actually do any damage to Rammus, they usually just back off. But when people are under their tower, they feel a sense of obligation to hug the tower and stay under it no matter what. On Rammus, your build is going to look very similar every game. Get Bramble's Vest, get Bammy Cinder for wave clear, and then go straight into Thornmail. Once Rammus has Thornmail, he's going to have 300 plus armor with his W active. 80 carries come online at 3 items. Mages can hard carry at 4 or 5. In a sense, you could say, when Rammus finishes Thornmails, this is when he is at his peak. If you're ahead as Rammus and you're able to finish Thornmail at this time, there is no one that's going to be able to stop you.
No lo pueden frenar, mira
With this amount
eso.
of armor, you can straight up kill 80 carries without ever even hitting them. So you need to make the most out of this insane advantage as much as you can. Gimbyong does not split push, he does not stay top lane longer than he needs to. As soon as he can, he ditches top lane and just starts making engage plays around the map. This is the cancerous part about Rammus. No one can really stop you from running bot lane and just diving them. The 80 carry is not going to damage you and the tower is just tickling you. Sometimes Gimbyong will run bot as early as level 4 for a gank. Rammus isn't a champion that's capable of solo carrying. He's a champion that carries his team through engagement.
Claro.
Towers get a flat 30% armor penetration. But when Rammus taunts someone with max W and Thornmail, Rammus will have up to 600 30% armor penetration on a tower. 70% of 600 still gives Rammus 420 armor to play.
420, bro.
Just keep on going in. As long as you have HP on Rammus, there is no need to reset. Champions reset because they want to buy more items and they want to use the gold that they've just obtained. But with Rammus, you already have 300 armor. In terms of physical damage, you're not going to get much tankier than this. So as long as you have HP,
Yo quiero que veas lo que tanquea y el nivel en el que está. No tiene sentido eso, o sea.
and you don't need to go back to base to heal, just keep rolling around again and again and again and again. Just do the same thing you did top lane, except you're doing it bot lane now.
Dios.
And once you're done with bot lane, you start rolling around to the mid lane. This is the point of Rammus top. Spam gank
Ole!
until he wants to AFK. Now you would think with Gimbyong, his second item should be a magic resist item. After all, with your W maxed and with your Thornmail, you're going to be approaching 400 armor. Yet the second item that Gimbyong buys in almost every single one of his games is going to be Righteous Glory. And it's for one reason and one reason only, so you can run at people and engage. Rammus is not a champion that scales well at all. Rammus's kit is only equipped with one piece of hard CC, his taunt.
Claro,
It lasts a very long time, it's only single target, and it has a fairly long cooldown. Other tank champions like Maokai, Ornn, Sion, they are packed with CC, shielding, healing. Rammus has none of these things.
Claro.
Rammus peaks at 10 to 20 minutes. And you have to take full advantage of this fact. While you can buy items...
Claro, básicamente lo que dice es que si vos lo jugás perfecto y haces todo muy bien, aún así puedes llegar a estar en desventaja al lado de otros campeones tanques que se curan, que tienen mucho más AC. En su simpleza está su complejidad realmente, y es como lo hace brillar este chabón, en lo poco convencional que es y en el no me hago responsable si te trolean.
Mask and adaptive helm to help you be more tanky against mage champions. The fact is you're just never going to be as tanky as other traditional tanks. The value of armor diminishes greatly at around 300 armor. So the more you get, the less value it actually brings you. So you have to just keep going in, keep making engages, keep making fights happen at around 15 minutes. It's very difficult for a champion like Rammus to do different things in a team fight. While champions like Maokai and Ornn can potentially peel for their carries, Rammus is not very good at that. If an enemy assassin has a lot of mobility, it's very difficult for Rammus to actually be able to catch up and stick onto them. In a late game teamfight scenario where Rammus is ahead and still somewhat tanky, he still does the same thing every teamfight. He goes in on the carries and looks for an engage. You just have to keep running at them until you roll them over.
Claro.
Here's your build on Rammus. Start Dorn's Shield with 1 HP pot to survive the laning phase. Go into Bramble's Vest as soon as possible, followed with Bammy Cinder for wave clear. Do not ever finish the Bammy Cinder, as you could be spending gold on other items such as Righteous Glory or Thornmail. In his last 100 games, Gimbyon has finished Sunfire Cape exactly 0 times.
Mierda.
Finish up Thornmail as soon as possible, then get Merc Treads in 90% of your games. Unless you're against an all AD composition, Ninja Tabbies is just useless for you. After that, go straight into Righteous Glory, followed by either Abyssal Mask or Adaptive Helm. For your last item, you have a few different options. Zhonya's and Stoneplay can keep you alive longer in a late game teamfight. Leandry's is a pretty decent damage option if you're looking for something like that. And if you have a hyper carry on your team, you can go for a Knight's Vow. For your runes, this Aftershock page is the most consistent version that you'll have.
Mira, lo juega con réplica, demolición, condicionamiento, sobre el crecimiento, todo esto tiene total lógica, vas a ser fucking inmortal. Armadura y un poquito de attack speed para cabecear un toque más leyenda de tenacidad y triunfo. Bueno, este tipo jugó más de 1000 ranked y está es maestro, gran maestro, así que me imagino que son las mejores runas posibles realmente.
You can swap out 1 armor for 1 magic resist instead. You take attack speed because Rammus does a surprising amount of damage with his auto attacks. If you're against a team composition with very little CC, you can change out Legend Tenacity for Legend Alacrity. For your abilities, put 1 point into your W, 1 into your E, 1 into your Q, then 1 more into your E and 1 more into your W, and then max E and W at roughly around the same time. Maxing just taunt or just W is not going to be good enough. You need CC that lasts, but you also need to be tanky. So you have to max both of these abilities around the same time to be able to be effective on Rammus. All in all, Rammus Top is a fairly unique champion. He's very weak in the laning phase, but spikes extremely hard with just 1 half item. He peaks at around 15 minutes, which is very unusual for any champion. But no matter what the meta is, Rammus is always going to be a useful counter pick into full AD compositions.
포위! 람보기들아! 죽여! 다 죽여!
Totalmente, zarpado el culiado de este coreano y zarpado DongHuaP. Gracias por mostrarnos esta estrategia de cáncer y gracias por traer más cáncer a Latinoamérica Sur. De mi lado, muchas gracias por suscribirte, comentar y no te olvides de decirme:
nickdaboom, ahora esto es tu culpa, ahora me toca Rammus Build en mi partida.
¡Nos vemos en Disney!